What is going on, everybody? Darrell, the Whiskey Saint, back on another Wednesday, and we're going to be reviewing some whiskey, guys. It's been a minute since I actually dived into something new, and this brand that we're going to be highlighting today is a brand that is completely new to me. Never had anything from them. First time was a few days ago when I actually cracked this bottle. But could this be the Coy Hill Killer, guys? We're about to find out. Stay tuned. If you're new to our channel, hit that like and subscribe. We're going to kick the show off. Cheers. Welcome back, guys, and we're just going to pour this up. And what we're going to be actually reviewing, because I know I kind of kept you in the dark a bit, but kind of did that purposely. It is Lost Lantern. I'm not sure if my camera's picking it up. There you go. Lost Lantern. And this one, guys, is a little different. Like, I've never had anything from this company, nor have I had anything from this state and distillery. So I'm just going to read off the bottle a bit. It says, Single Distillery Series, Mississippi Memory, Rich Grain Distilling Company. So this is Mississippi Straight Bourbon Whiskey, distilled and aged in Canton, Mississippi. 70% ABV. So a whopping 140 proof, guys. And just going to give you a quick rundown on the back. It says, we created this unique marriage of rich grains, 5- and 7-year-old Mississippi bourbons to honor the distillery's vision and showcase the complexity of whiskey aged in hot, humid climate. It has notes of graham cracker, roasted corn, and toasted oak on the nose, with chocolate cream pie, molasses, and big oak on the palate. Rich and dense bourbon. And I can tell you from what I remember drinking this, or remember when drinking this a couple days ago, this thing was definitely pretty rich, pretty dense. Like, if you could look at this color, like, my shirt's black and this thing almost looks black. Like, it's not deceiving you. It's not the camera. It's not tricks. Like, this thing is dark as night. Like, look at this whiskey, guys. 5- to 7-year-old Mississippi whiskey, or Mississippi bourbon. We're going to crack this, give it a little taste with you guys, and let you know my thoughts. And like I said in the intro, could this be the Coy Hill Killer that's a lot more available? Let's give it a go. And cheers, everybody. Just gonna swirl it a bit. This thing is pretty, like, thick. Like, I don't want to say it's like a like a heavy whiskey, but it gives you that sense, right? It coats the glass. Like, it's very, very viscous, and I haven't even sipped it, but it just literally sticks to the glass, which is nice. And you would expect something like that when it's this color at, you know, only 5 to 7 years old. You know, there was something going on in that barrel, right? So there's some heavy, heavy barrel influence on the whiskey. It's so nuts. And I kind of want to put it in perspective. Like, I got some older whiskey probably behind me, and I'll just grab a bottle just to give you a sense of how dark this really is compared to something that may be more well-known. But on the nose, guys. Oh, man. So up front, it kind of hits me two different ways. It almost gives me a sense of it being a bit older than that 5 to 7, but it's more like oak and wood forward. Not necessarily old oak, but more of a, like, newer. Not like even that, like, that sawdust note either. It's tough to kind of explain, but it's like a happy medium between what you would get on that sweet oak that is usually like that, 10, 15-year-old whiskey versus that raw, like sawdust note that I don't like, which this doesn't have, but it's kind of like a little hybrid between the two. It comes across a little young on the nose, but you do get some hints of some nice age and oak on the nose as well. A lot of fruit up front. It's dark, like figs, dark berries, that oak, that spice. Like I can take a good whiff and you wouldn't know off the nose that this is 140 proof, guys, because it's not like hitting you like that. It's not burning out the nose. It noses nicely, but nice, sweet. I'm not sure if I get the graham cracker and chocolate that they get, but I can see that molasses. I can see some dark fruits, the figs. It's really, really dark fruit forward for me, mixed in with some nice spice and some really, really nice oak. All right, enough of that. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. Wow. My tongue's tingling off that first sip. And usually the second sip is what really does that for me. But right up front, mid, it's all those similar notes that I was getting on the nose. So you got that dark berry, you get a mixture of fig, that oak, that spice is very, very, very prevalent on the front and the mid. On that first sip, it died a little bit down, or died down just slightly on the finish. But from what I remember on this whiskey, the second, third, fourth sip, like just lights you up, and like that finish just goes on for days and days. Like the flavor is just sitting there, but the spice factor of the finish is what I'm saying kind of died down just slightly. Let's take another sip. Oh man, nose is opening up a bit too, getting a little bit more sweet, vanilla forward. That dark berry shines though. Cheers. This is definitely unique. Like I got a few whiskeys that taste remotely similar to this, and I actually pulled one to the side just to kind of give it a little compare and contrast in a minute. But what I'm talking about, guys, is Kings County. Their single barrels. When you get like a really good single barrel that's high proof, this one here is got 148 proof. It's a pick from Irene Tan, and I remember this being just killer. Everybody that has had this bottle, it's been absolutely ridiculous, and they loved it. Haven't went back to it in a very long time. It's not much in it, guys. It's literally just maybe about 4 or 5 ounces left, if that. And I'm going to pour a little bit of that to compare, because this kind of reminds me of that. I remember that bottle having like that dark berry note mixed in with that oak, that spice. Came across like not really youthful, but young and old at the same time. And I'm getting that same vibe on this bottle here, the Lost Lantern. But this is very, very good. I did rank this, guys. I know it's not on the page right here, but this did come in at an 88 for me, which is really, really high. That's probably going to be for sure top 15. I don't know if it makes top 10 for me. It's probably just outside of top 10, but really, really good whiskey. Price on this bottle was $94, so a little high for the age. If we're thinking age statement, 5 to 7 years, you kind of want a bottle to be in that range of maybe 50 to 70 bucks max. But me, I kind of try to take, age out of the equation sometimes when we're looking at price, and just really just, hone in on the whiskey, right? If the whiskey is really, really good, and I can use Hard Truth as an example, they got very, very young whiskey, and their price point doesn't scare me. Sometimes, bottles are just say 70, 80 bucks for just say a 2-year whiskey, but their whiskey is so good that it outweighs, that price point for me. And $94 at this for this bottle doesn't shy me away from it. I would recommend it. Don't mind or no issues at all paying that 94 for it. You know, if I had it, I definitely would have paid it, but kind of did it blind, you know, looked at the proof, looked at the color, and I was like, oh man, there's something going on with this bottle, you know, so kind of wanted to give it a go. Plus, never had anything from said company. So, you know, kind of wanted to dive in, give it a try, and kind of review it with you guys. But yeah, this thing is actually really, really good, guys. Like I said, an 88. If we're looking at nose in terms, I know I don't have everything up here in terms of 1 thumbs or 2 thumbs up, but on a nose, I would give this a thumbs up. Not sure on the 2 thumbs. Like I would kind of want it to be a little bit more impactful, you know, a little bit more depth. But outside of that, the nose isn't bad whatsoever. Palette though is crazy. Like front, mid, finish. Like this thing is nuts. So like all that gets 2 thumbs ups for me. Like the finish on this shines, which is expected, right? It's 140 proof whiskey. Like you would hope that this thing kind of lingers and finishes, right? But it's sitting there. Like I haven't took a sip in well over a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and it's just I can still taste the flavor. You know, it's not super spicy or anything, but it's just still sitting there, which is nice. You know, so I'm gonna put this to the side, guys. I kind of want to just dive in really, really quick on a little bit of this Kings County and just see if those similarities that I remember off this holds true. I'm just gonna pour a tiny bit here. And if we look at color, they're probably actually pretty close. This is still darker, but like you can see the Kings County is really, really dark too. And this was an 8-year Kings County, which you don't really see too many of those. And this thing was killer or is killer. So just swirl it up a bit. So Kings County here. Lost Lantern here. Yeah, so pretty similar. You can still see the Lost Lantern's a little bit darker, but let's give this Kings County a go. Oh, so way, way different on the nose than I remember. Okay, so Lost Lantern's way more berry forward on the nose. I do remember the Kings County being like that. That's pretty crazy. It's funny, your mind plays tricks on you sometimes. Like you'll bring back memories of maybe what you thought this might have tasted like or smelled like, and you go back to it after having something, and it's just like, oh, nope, I thought I knew what it was. But like this has that depth. Like even though it's only 8 years versus 5 to 7, like this smells noticeably older, more balanced, and it's a higher proof to 148 proof. Do get a little bit more of that spice on the nose because it is kind of tingling the nose a bit versus the Lost Lantern. Man, let's give it a sip. Oh man. So not as similar as I thought. In terms of the mouthfeel and the way that this kind of whiskey just transitions from front to back is very similar to the Lost Lantern, but the taste and notes that I thought was going to be similar on this is not the case. So I'm not really getting that dark berry that I used to get on this. I'm not sure if it's because it got a lot of air in the bottle. There's not much. I probably got to decant it and maybe throw in a couple small sample bottles, but it's definitely changed a little bit from what I remember, but it's still very, very good. Like I remember this bottle probably scoring, I think, in the 90s for me, if I can remember correctly. And I know, like I said, everybody that's ever had a sample of this has absolutely loved it. Let's take one more sip. Yeah, it's just really, really good whiskey. That is better than the Lost Lantern. Palate comes across, like I said, a little bit more balanced. Flavors aren't similar, but they hit you the same way. Mouth still tingling, finish just lingers. Really, 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 really nice. But a good comparison because, like I said, from what I remember, I thought they were very similar and then not, when you're trying them side by side. But back to the Lost Lantern. Is it a Coy Hill Killer, guys? It can probably compete. I'm telling you, and I'm not just saying that, and I've never had anything from them. So literally, there's like no bias on my end whatsoever. I just kind of taste this whiskey for what it is and just give you an honest opinion. And you guys have been following us this long, know, like we don't just blow smoke up anybody's, what, right? We just give our opinions honestly, and we take it from there. But this is actually a really, really good whiskey, man. That Lost Lantern's nice. I wish I had the new Coy Hill. I know Kelsey's got a bottle on the way, so I may just grab a sample from that and kind of put this up against it. I know it won't be blind, but I'm curious how it's going to hold. Like, I think this can really, really compete. Like, if I gave this blind to somebody, the Coy Hill, and even the original Coy Hill, the high proof one, this would probably, I think, be right up there with it. Not right up there. I think that's still a little better, but it can compete and it's readily available, right? Like, this bottle should be in most stores. I know it's not a shelfer, but it should be readily available for most stores that have distribution for Lost Lantern. It's $94. Like I said, it's a little pricey for what it is in terms of age, but I think the flavor justifies that and the experience. I don't really have many whiskeys that taste like this, so I'm not opposed to that price point at all. So yeah, we're going to leave it at that, guys. I think this is a buy if you do see it. So Lost Lantern, Mississippi Memory, gets 2 thumbs up on the purchase side of things. Like I said, I know it's a little bit pricey, but take the price out of there. Just go for the whiskey. It's really, really good whiskey, in my opinion. And if it's going to be one of those bottles. I think if you know, yeah, it's definitely tasty, guys, and it can compete with some of the best stuff that I've had so far. And it's so different. Like, it's not that conventional MGP heritage brand like profile. It's different, but very, very tasty at the same. But we're going to stop it there, guys. If you see this bottle, Mississippi Memory from Lost Lantern, definitely give it a grab. Pick it up. $94, I know, but it's good whiskey. If you don't like it, shame on you. No, but thanks, guys, for tuning in. Till next Wednesday. Cheers.